Are we are we live? Star Wars fans. Where are we at, Star Wars fans? Or should I say Star Wars haters? Where are we at, Star Wars haters? Okay, we're going to talk about the episode. We're going to break down episode 6 of The Mandalorian, and we got some other stuff to do. So, okay, remain calm. It's happening, and it's happening live. What's up, guys? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, and I know, calm down, everybody remain calm, remain in your seats, please, remain in your seats, please. We're going to get into all of it, we're going to talk about all of it, it's all going to be talked about. The Mandalorian episode, we know the Star Wars fan base is a hot, bursting flames garbage pile right now. I know. Everybody remain calm. We're going to talk about all of it. We got to break down this episode. We got to talk about where the Star Wars fan base is at right now. Star Wars Celebration starts tomorrow. We got a lot of things to do tonight, and we got to go over all of it without me getting too heated, without you guys getting too heated, and hopefully we bring some joy and happiness to the fan base, because I know all of you guys are absolute haters. You're haters, okay? You're haters. Honey Badger, what's up? Okay. Let's start with the breakdown of the episode. We're going to keep it light to start off. We're just going to break down the episode, okay? So no Sabine, just to start. Why not? Let's throw out a few gut-wrenching stabs to the chest. No Sabine in this episode, no Boba in this episode, no freaking Moff Gideon in this episode. We really kind of got nowhere. However, it's not the end of the world, and I'll explain to you why, and I will explain to you how actually this has happened many times before, and this is not the end of the world, and not just that, it's actually normal. This is the norm for Star Wars fans at this point. I know it's sad, but it is the norm for Star Wars fans at this point. So let's break down the episode. Okay? First of all, rank this episode out of 10 in the chat. What did you guys think of this episode? What did you think? Because I want to hear that first. Oh, jeez, you guys, keep it civil to start. Let's try and keep it civil for at least the first hour of the stream, okay? Okay. I see a 6 in there. Jaden Conroy says 6 out of 10. Honey Badger says it happened in season 2, but this season is way worse in my opinion. 7 out of 10. We're gonna get into it. Way to keep it civil already, Honey Badger. Jeepers. 6 out of 10 says Vlog IGV. So 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. That's kind of where we are at right now. Where we're at right now. But let's break down the episode. Let's break down the entire episode together. Let's do it. All right? Okay? Can you bear with me for a little bit so we break down the episode so we actually know what we're talking about as a fandom here? Can you guys bear with me for a second and not get too heated about this? So uncivilized. Star Wars 2 says 6 out of 10 as well. So we're all about around 6 out of 10. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. And before you go, Mike, you're stupid. Mike, you're stupid. Before you do that, because that would be rude, hear me out. But let's break down the video. Break down the episode. Let's break down the episode first. So the episode starts with these two lovebirds, okay? Starts with this Quarren, and this Mon Calamari. So this is the prince of the Mon Calamaris, and of course we find out that a Imperial cruiser is outside their ship, but that is not the Imperials, it is the Mandalorians. So this is, of course, Cosca Reeves over here, and then you have Axe Wolves. Is it wolves or is it woves? I don't know. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? Okay, but you have these two. They were the ones who were with Bo-Katan in season 2, and they took her fleet, by the way, left her with nothing, because she didn't come back with the Darksaber. Wah, 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 wah. So that's how the episode starts. It starts with where these guys have been the entire time. And it also answers the question, they are not the ones who saved Moff Gideon. So suck it, Honey Badger. Sorry, that was rude. I'm trying to keep it civil. Okay? It wasn't them who saved Moff Gideon. Okay? Then we finally get the opening credits. The episode's called Gun for Hire, episode 6, blah, blah, blah. And you get Din Djarin, Grogu, and Bo-Katan pulling up to this planet called Plazir 15. Okay? And this is where the Mandalorians are. This is where they know that they are. And they get pulled in to the city. By the way, Plazir 15 looks exactly like a Mandalorian city. You have the dome and everything. And then you have this scene where they get introduced. They got brought in by these Imperial droids, and they're like, what are Imperial droids doing on this planet? Blah, blah, blah. And they get sucked into this tube, and they get flown to the city, where we find out that, and this seems to really anger some fans, Lizzo and Jack Black are the rulers of this place. They were voted in. Jack Black is an ex-Imperial, kind of cool. But yeah. The nannies for Grogu for this episode were Lizzo and Jack Black. And they actually say, well, the Mandalorians that we hired to protect us can't come inside the walls because he's an ex-Imperial and that can't happen. He can't have a standing army, which makes sense. But there's a problem going on inside the walls where everybody inside of this city is like in WALL-E. Like, you know the movie WALL-E where they're all how do I put it nicely? They're all big and they all sit in chairs and they all have robots and everything, do everything for them. That is this civilization. They have droids, battle droids, ex-battle droids, do everything for them. So a bunch of them are malfunctioning and they hire Bo and Din, or not really even hire. They say, you can go see your Mandalorian friends if you do this. Yes, that's where it's at. So they go to see Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd's character's name is like Helbert, Helsert, something. Christopher Lloyd. We knew Christopher Lloyd was coming in this season. A lot of fans are disappointed that this is Christopher Lloyd's cameo in this season. A lot of people thought he would have a bigger role, but I mean, like what? It's Christopher Lloyd. What did you expect him to do in this season? But he did have a cool story arc. He's a separatist working for Count Dooku, but we'll get into that. So he tells them to go visit the Ugnaughts. He tells them what's going on with the droids and all that stuff. But they go visit the Ugnaughts. Now we know Din has some history with Queel from the first season, and this Ugnaught looks very, very, very similar to Queel, but they all look the same. Just has a higher pitched voice and a nice toupee on. But this Ugnaught tells them that our work is fantastic and actually somehow, again, I thought this was a huge plot hole, somehow knows where the next malfunction is going to take place. It was down on the docks. So they go down there, and Din starts kicking some battle droids around, and then one runs away, causing this awesome chase scene, by the way, through the city. And the city kind of turned into like Coruscant at night. It turned into what I even said in the breakdown was a lot like Obi-Wan and Anakin chasing the shapeshifter in episode 2. And it was a pretty cool chase scene, and they get their next clue to go to this droid bar. They go to a droid bar where they find out that all the droids that have malfunctioned have had this same drink at the droid bar that came through the same shipment. So they go to the morgue or the laboratory, whatever you want to call it, a morgue for droids, where they take the blood of a droid and they do tests on it where they find nanobots. Pretty cool. But the nanobots have, of course, writing on them because they're robots. And it leads right back to the security sector, or AKA Christopher Lloyd's character, Berto. So he is obviously the one who did it. And he gives this whole spiel about how Count Dooku was right, separatists are the best, and Bo-Katan shocks him. And this character was awesome. I mean, Christopher Lloyd is the best. You can't deny that this was awesome, okay? You can't deny that this was awesome, okay? You can't. Christopher Lloyd was awesome. The fact that he even mentioned Count Dooku was cool. It was cool. It was cool. Separatist, awesome. And they sent him off to the moon. They kind of made it seem like we're going to see this planet again and maybe even see these characters again. But Bo and Din get granted a key to the city. Grogu then gets knighted by Lizzo. Grogu has been knighted by Lizzo. Okay. And then the episode ends with them going to the other Mandalorians. Bo challenges Axe to a 1v1. She wins. But he's like, yeah, nobody's going to follow you. Nobody. Because you won't take the Darksaber from that fool over there. That fool over there. That guy right there. Won't take the Darksaber from Din. so nobody's going to follow her. But then Din explains that we all had the exact same theory online, that didn't Bo actually get the Darksaber because Din got bested by this spider-looking thing on Mandalorian episode 2, and then Bo came and saved the day using the Darksaber that was taken from Din, hence her getting the Darksaber. Right? And then, of course, Din just hands her the Darksaber. And a lot of fans seem to be very, very upset with this because, oh, boo-hoo, she didn't fight Din Djarin, okay? But a lot of people were like, well, why wouldn't she just take the Darksaber from Din at the end of episode 2? Well, first of all, she didn't want it. And Din didn't really even know, because he was knocked out, that she saved him using the Darksaber. So, fast forward 4 episodes later, we come to this conclusion, and now Bo-Katan has the Darksaber. Now, a lot of people are upset with this. Oh, Din's just handing Bo the Darksaber. Bo is just taking over this show. You're wrong, okay? The thumbnail says you're wrong. I have a whole spiel about why you're wrong, but we're just breaking down the episode, keeping it civil for the first couple minutes of the stream, okay? You're wrong. Din Djarin didn't even want to lead. We'll get into that. Okay, this is how the episode ends, okay? This is how the episode ends. That's the breakdown of the episode. Honestly, and you guys cannot deny this, if this episode happened in episode 1 of this season, episode 2 of this season, episode 3, 4, first 4 episodes, let's be honest. If it happened in the first 4 episodes of this season, everybody would be okay with it. People would love this episode. Jack Black, Lizzo, it's fun, it's cool. Christopher Lloyd, it's fun, it's cool. It has battle droids. It's a spin-off, it's a filler episode, but the fact that it was a filler episode in episode 6 is what is the big problem. The big problem is episode 6 of the season was a filler episode. That's the big problem. And I get it. And that's what I said in my breakdown. It's a big problem. This shouldn't have happened in episode 6. This should have been episode 4, episode 3, episode 2 even. I feel like they did a lot early. Think about it. The entire plot of this season was supposed to be, at least based on the trailers, was supposed to be Din going to Mandalore to bathe in the waters. And that happened in episode 2. 2 episodes in, boom, we did that already. We saw a Mythosaur there, by the way. It's like everybody forgot about that. It's like everybody forgot about how much of a banger the season started out to be. But we saw a Mythosaur right away, and that whole story arc just kind of stopped. Boom, finished. We did it. He bathed in the waters. He's a Mandalorian again. Boom, done. And since then, we kind of just been stalling. We had the Purging episode, we had the Order 66 flashback episode, and then we had last week's episode, which I thought was an absolute banger, which was supposed to lead into Moff Gideon. Who saved Moff Gideon? Going back to Mandalore, all this fun stuff, maybe Sabine, maybe Boba, and then we get this filler episode. And that's what caused the big skirmish going on online. Skirmish a word? I don't even know. But it makes sense. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's just, what is the problem, okay? Now let's see what you guys thought about this episode. As I broke it down, I'm sure you guys put in your opinions, so I'm sure it's going to get heated from here on out, okay? Okay. Just a warning. You're all wrong. And here's why. Let's find out what you guys said. VlogIGV says this episode would fit much better early on in the season. Just saying. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If it was a filler episode in episode 2, everybody would be okay with it. The fact that it's episode 6 is a big problem. And I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. This is the wrong time. Honey Badger says it's Axe Wolf. Axe Wolves. It's Axe Wolves. Okay. Honey Badger says, I still think they rescued him. Yeah, but you're wrong. Where's Moff Gideon? He wasn't with them. I don't see it. They are guns for hire. They could have rescued Gideon and then left him and went back to pick up the prince right after that. Huh. That is possible. But I think when we see Moff Gideon, he's going to be with Mandalorians. The ones that saved him. He will be with them. On Mandalore, by the way. On Mandalore. And I think that, like, again, we talked about this on Tuesday. I think they got saved by a weapon using Beskar steel. Because Mandalorians don't just leave shards of Beskar steel lying around in ships all over the galaxy. Like, I think some sort of weapon was using Beskar steel that left a Beskar thing there. Star Wars 2 says Lizzo with some emojis. Here's the thing, and I'm being completely honest, and I said it in my breakdown. I've heard the name Lizzo before. I might have heard a song or two from her. If I heard it, maybe I'd recognize it. I had no idea what Lizzo looked like or like really who she was. So when Jack Black was there, I had no idea that that was another celebrity until I was like online or even in the Discord. I think somebody said Jack Black and Lizzo were in the episode. By the way, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. So if you want to keep this conversation going after the stream, go check that out. But somebody in the Discord was like, "Oh, Jack Black and Lizzo," and I literally had to go Google who is Lizzo, and I found out that that was her. That was her. Star Wars Politics says Mike's wrong. I'm never wrong. You guys are wrong, okay? And we'll get to why you're wrong in a couple seconds, okay? Zap says blasphemy. I don't know what you're referring to, but yes. Honey Badger says, yes, iRobot. It was very similar to iRobot, but iRobot was like 20 years ago. Just kidding, but maybe it was. When did iRobot come out? But at the same time, it wasn't. It was like it was a spin off of iRobot. But I mean, honestly, Star Wars is all just a spin off of Seventh Samurai. So what are we talking about here? Zap says, it was the oil or whatever that they took from the droid. All hail Grogu. Yes. Yes. Honey Badger says, so Grogu is a Jedi, Mandalorian, and a knight now? Yes. And you better refer to him correctly when you talk about him. He is now Jedi Padawan Grogu Lorian Knight. Okay? Honey Badger says, boo, Bo-Katan. Okay, here's the thing. Literally 48 hours ago, we thought Bo-Katan was the coolest character ever. We thought she was getting such good character development, blobbity bloobity blobbity bloobity, Bo-Katan, let's go. Fast forward just a short couple days later. Here we are, saying Bo-Katan's the worst. She doesn't deserve the Darksaber. She's taken over the show. What happened? Nothing changed in this 6th episode. Although it was a filler episode, although Bo-Katan got the Darksaber, this is what we thought was going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Before the season started, we're gonna. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Honey Badger says, we went to Mandalore in episode 2. Din's story was absolutely rushed. I wouldn't say it was rushed. I feel like the first 2 episodes didn't seem rushed. The story didn't seem rushed early on. I feel like it was just like, yes, we got to that. We got the Mythosar. So where do we go from here? And since then, we've just been staggered. It wasn't rushed by any means. I don't think, at least. Star Wars Politics says, haven't watched it. Go watch the episode. I just broke it down for you. So there you go. I haven't watched it yet. But to me, Bo getting the Darksaber is not filler. Why is it filler? So yeah, that wasn't filler. The last 5 minutes of the episode was no sort of filler at all. But it's the other 40 minutes of the episode that was filler. That whole side mission of them trying to help the city with their droid malfunctions, that's a filler episode. It was just the last 5 minutes that really wasn't. I mean, Bo getting the Darksaber is not filler for sure. Swagger Like Us says, episode 6 felt too MCU for my taste. What? The last 10 minutes and intro was the only saving grace plot's sake. Yeah, so the last 5 minutes were like great. I thought the 1v1 between her and Axe was awesome, and her getting the Darksaber at the end was cool. A lot of people can complain all they want about it, but who cares? But MCU, what do you mean by that, Swagger Like Us? MCU like? I don't know. Dr. Robot Nick says Disney happened. Disney has owned Star Wars for 11 years now. Disney happened a long time ago. So for the people who are like, Disney destroyed Star Wars, are the same people who cried and cheered and cried and cheered when Luke Skywalker showed up at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. They absolutely loved that season. They loved the Clone Wars Season 7. They loved Rebels. They loved Rogue One. They loved The Mandalorian Season 1. They loved The Bad Batch. They loved all this stuff. Sure, Disney has made some crappy stuff, some real bad stuff with where do I even start? Kenobi, first 5 episodes. The Book of Boba Fett, a bunch of the episodes. The sequel trilogy. The Solo movie could have been a lot better. Like, they've done some bad stuff. But Disney happened is not the answer. Star Wars Politics says, Bo is definitely taking over the show. I think the rumors are true. So we'll get into the rumors in a minute, but Bo taking over the show is wrong. It's wrong. And it's one of the things I have written down here. Trust me, we went front and back on the notebook today. It's wrong. Bo-Katan is a main character in the show, sure. Just as much as Grogu is, just as much as Din is. But here's the thing. We never, and there's not one person in this chat right now that can actually tell me, truthfully, telling the truth, that they thought that Din was going to be the ruler of Mandalore. Nobody thought it. We theorized about Boba, Din, Boba, Bo, Sabine, anybody else, except for Din Djarin. We were like, Din Djarin coming in has the Darksaber, but he's not going to rule. So who's going to rule? And now that Bo is kind of getting some more screen time, although she's not getting more screen time than Din Djarin, because Din Djarin's screen time is probably over double Bo-Katan's in this season. People seem to think she's taking over the show, but you're wrong. Okay. Honey Badger says, not me. I love Katie Sackhoff and Bo-Katan, but you love Bo-Katan's butt? That's wrong, Honey Badger. No, I'm just kidding. He said, Bo-Katan, but her story is taking over and pushing Din's story out. What is Din Djarin's story? Can anybody tell me what Din Djarin's story is, please? Season 1, what was Din Djarin's story? He was a bounty hunter. He found Grogu. That's it. Season 2, his goal was to get Grogu back to the Jedi. He ran into Bo-Katan. He ran into Ahsoka. He ends up going to Tython. He runs into Boba Fett. He runs into Luke Skywalker. He doesn't have a story. It's Grogu's story from episode 1 of The Mandalorian season 1. So season 3 is going along with the same exact script from the first 2 seasons. Just Bo-Katan is taking the place of Grogu from season 1 in season 2. Let me keep going. Star Wars. Where was I? Dr. Robot Nick says, the last 5 minutes looked like it was filmed in a park. That's because it probably was. No, I didn't get that at all. I mean, it was filmed in a field outside. Yes. Honey Badger says, it's obvious Bo's helmet is in the Bad Batch Lucasfilm's opening credits. It's her helmet and replaces Din. It's obvious. Disney wants Bo over Din. So you're saying that Bo-Katan's helmet being in the intro thing for Disney Plus for the Bad Batch, a show that isn't even connected to The Mandalorian, isn't even in the same time period, is Disney trying to push Din out and elevate Bo-Katan? I honestly think you guys are crazy. Din Djarin is the guy who created this entire Mandoverse. The only reason there is a Mandoverse is because Jon Favreau created the character named Din Djarin. Sure, Din Djarin's eventually going to die, and I think he will be like the Iron Man, if you want to compare it to MCU. He will be like the Iron Man of this Mandoverse, where probably in some big event where Thrawn comes in and blah 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 blah, he sacrifices himself to save everybody. Something along those lines. Din will die. And Grogu will have to move on from that. And maybe Bo-Katan even survives past Din Djarin, and you guys will be sitting here saying, see, I told you so. Hey, and maybe I'm completely wrong. And maybe I'm completely wrong in this whole entire stream. But here's the thing. I don't think I am right now. And if I am, I will come out clean and I'll just say, I was wrong. You guys were completely right. There was a huge issue here. This was a failure from the start. But no. Here's the thing. 48 hours ago, we were hyped for this episode. Just because this episode was a filler episode, I'm still hyped for the next 2 episodes. You guys have just lost your ever-loving minds. And I'm here to help you guys. So yeah. Because of the Pedro stuff. Sure, Pedro Pascal could possibly be having issues behind the scenes. It's possible. It happens all the time with actors in Hollywood, and it always gets resolved. Now, whether that resolving is Din just does voice from now on, you never see Din Djarin's face ever again, and he still has a hero's ending, who cares? Who cares? Zap says, Rogue One Disney happened. Mando Disney happened. Rebels Disney happened. Exactly, Zap. Finally, somebody on my side. God damn. Mr. Dr. Robot Nick, sorry, I almost just called you Mr. and you worked really hard for that doctor, so don't let me do that again. Dr. Robot Nick says, I was just seeing this episode in a particularly felt very Disney directed. Not a single director. I was just saying this episode felt more Disney-esque. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it did. Sure, it did. It had the Disney feel to it. But that just happens sometimes when it is Disney Star Wars. Dr. Robot Nick says, a lot of the episodes and some of the movies have been great. Exactly. Mando Season 1 and 2 was glorious. It was glorious. Zap says, yeah, this season hasn't lived up to Season 1 and Season 2. I agree so far. Star Wars Politics says, the volume filming has sucked lately, and yeah, you're wrong. I actually completely disagree. I think the volume really sucked on Kenobi. Definitely sucked on Kenobi. And there were a few scenes in the Book of Boba Fett that was, you could tell was just the volume. And of course, Thor Love and Thunder had its problems, Ant-Man had its problems. But with The Mandalorian, all 3 seasons has looked spectacular. We've been to so many different new worlds and stuff, and there has been zero feel of a just crowded, like small room type feel. The volume has worked wonders for The Mandalorian. I can't say that for other projects like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, Ant-Man, and others, but for The Mandalorian, it's been very, very good. Honey Badger says, yes, it elevates Bo-Katan, and the Pedro John stuff behind the scenes could be a real thing. It could be a real thing, but we don't know. But we'll get into that. And maybe they used Bo so much that they are trying to put her over Din. That is possible. It is possible. But again, Din Djarin is in this season way more than Bo-Katan. You have to remember, he goes to see Bo at the end of the first episode, right? The whole first episode, she's not in, except for the very end. And then she again comes in about midway through the second episode, and she has been almost there since. But again, not all the time. It is still Din Djarin's show. Swagger Like Us says, Filoni was busy during Mando Season 3, and the quality drops to prove it. Now, you might have a point there. Favreau even alludes to this at Star Wars Celebration. Tales of the Jedi, Bad Batch Season 2 were great, and Ahsoka's going to be great too. You have a very good point there, Swagger Like Us. There is a clear drop-off, and I am not denying this at all, from Season 2 of The Mandalorian to Season 3. There is a severe drop-off, but that is more of a story-wise thing. And yeah, there's a severe drop-off, and maybe that is because of Dave Filoni was busy. He did Tales of the Jedi, which was spectacular. Probably the best thing from Star Wars we've gotten in years, since The Mandalorian Season 2. And the Bad Batch Season 2 was very good as well. Dave was kind of hands-off on that until the very end. And then the Ahsoka show, of course, he's had his eyes on the entire time. That is what he's been working on, and it's going to be fantastic. And maybe it is the case that Season 3 is just missing the hands of Dave Filoni. That could be possible. It could be possible. Honey Badger says there's no room for filler episodes in Episode 8, in Episode 6, in an 8-episode season, in my opinion, especially in the 3rd season of Star Wars' biggest hit. Yes, I completely agree with you. Star Wars has done a thing where they dug themselves in a hole. They've given us 8-episode seasons, and 8 episodes to a lot of Star Wars fans is not nearly enough, and I completely agree with you. But when you look at it, there definitely shouldn't be any filler episodes, yes. But when you look at it, like, Star Wars has only made, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. I completely agree with what you're saying. There should never be a filler episode in only an 8-episode series. I completely agree. But to play devil's advocate, when you're making an 8-episode show with about the episodes averaging around 45 minutes a piece, that adds up. 45 minutes times 8 is not 8 hours, but it's getting close to 8 hours. And Star Wars is something that existed only in the movies. And movies are only 2.5 hours, 3 hours at the longest. So when you're making a show that's almost 8 hours, you're talking about a lot of content, and to not have a filler in there, it needs a good story. So yes, I completely agree that there should never be a filler episode in an 8-episode show, but yeah. And I'm going to skip a couple down, but I'm going to go back. Dr. Robot Nick says, it needs to be 10 to 12 episodes. I completely agree. It should be like Andor was, 12 episodes long. And then you can have a few filler episodes and fans actually won't complain. Or you could do it like the Bad Batch where you double up episodes that you know are going to be filler. Dr. Robot says, nah, I'm hyped. Stayed up to watch episode 6 for the watch party. Went to bed mad, but I even stayed up. Yes, I completely agree. I'm still excited for the next 2 episodes. And I know people are like, oh, the next 2 episodes, there's leaks and rumors about it being terrible. You are wrong, and I will prove it. Don't worry, I will prove it. I'm just trying so quickly to catch up on all these chats. Honey Badger says, I stayed up as well, and I was bummed. The last 2 episodes need to be 2 hours long each. Don't get your hopes up, Dr. Robot Nick. That is not happening. But I do hope that they're going to be on the longer side. I definitely do. Honey Badger says, Mando is my favorite Star Wars since episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So for it to be in its current position right now hurts. And I have to be honest, this show is literally the only thing holding Disney Star Wars. You got a point there. It is the best Star Wars since Revenge of the Sith. As a series, yes. 1, 2, 3. And it is in a weird spot right now. But again, it's only in a weird spot until the next episode. If the next episode is a banger, then it's going to be, okay, The Mandalorian is back. The hype is back. We say it every freaking week when there's a good episode. Is the hype back? Is Star Wars back? And then when there's a filler episode a few weeks later, the world is ending. And I get it. We're very passionate fans. We like to feel the bumps and the waves, and we want to roll with all this stuff. But we are over-exaggerating a little bit much here, Star Wars fans. We are over-exaggerating a little bit much here, Star Wars fans. So like I says, Season 3 is whack. Sorry. He did not say that. He says Season 3 lacks that Western genre vibe that I loved about early Season 2. Yeah, it does seem to lack that Western vibe that Mando has been built around and seems to be more of a kiddish vibe with especially this episode with Lizzo and Jack Black and all that other stuff going on. Well, yeah, Din is in it much more than Bo because it's Din's show. Oh, just contradicted yourself. But Bo is definitely pushing him out. Saber and Mythosaur. So she knows about the Mythosaur, and we're going to get into this too. She knows about the Mythosaur, but she has yet to tame that thing. And I don't think she will. Leaves Din looking bad. True. And he's left with nothing but his blaster. Yeah, somebody said that in the Discord earlier. Din's really losing all of his weapons. The first season, he had this awesome rifle that incinerated people. That was epic. Lost that in his explosion of his Razor Crest. Lost his Razor Crest. And now he's lost his Darksaber. It's a tough life for Din Djarin. That explains it then. No Dave Filoni. It doesn't explain it fully. There's definitely some more stuff going on. But yeah, it doesn't help. And here's the thing. Dave Filoni is a co-writer of the next episode. So, yeah. Star Wars Politics says, if it came out on Friday nights, it would be totally different. And if they came out in a good bite-sized chunk. Yes. Well, the whole Wednesday night at 3 a.m. or Wednesday morning at 3 a.m., I've lost my mind many, many times on this stream about that, but we won't do that right now. But yes, if it came out on Friday, it would be a completely different thing. It literally just felt like an advertisement for Epcot. It kind of did, honestly. Now that you think about it, it did. But it was more of a similarity to Mandalore. And they even Jack Black mentions that this place will see Mandalore as an actual sovereign state or something along those lines in the episode because they know that they're going to try to reclaim Mandalore. It was very interesting. Still haven't watched it. Go watch it, Star Wars Politics. Zap says, yeah, it's crazy that people complain as much as they do with the amount of content we are getting. George would have never done this much. Yeah. I get it, though. Star Wars fans like good Star Wars, and I don't blame them at all. And recently, we haven't gotten that. Tales of the Jedi was spectacular, but if you look back at last year, it wasn't really a dub for Star Wars. Although there were a bunch of good episodes. Even the Andor show had that prison break with Kino Loy. Even the Kenobi had its finale. Even the Book of Boba Fett had that Luke Skywalker and training Grogu episode, and the other Mandalorian episode. it seemed like 2022 was a L for Star Wars, which is crazy because of all the content we got. But yeah, if George Lucas had Star Wars, we would not be getting all of this. And there's nobody that can counteract that, because when George had it, we did not get anything. We got the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars was dwindling because he was getting older and he didn't want to make it anymore, and he wasn't making money. But it may have been more thought out and energetic quality under George. It would. But he probably wouldn't have made a sequel trilogy. He probably wouldn't have made a lot more shows because he is getting older, and he has said many times that he wasn't going to make a sequel trilogy or anything else along those lines. Honey Badger says, we thought this week was going to be a banger. We did. And maybe it's partially on me that I got so excited on Tuesday, and I got you guys so excited on Tuesday. And I take that upon myself that we got very, very excited on Tuesday. But we got very, very excited last week. And last week's episode was really, really good. So that's why we were excited. But when we get a filler episode like this, the sky can't be falling, you know? Felt like we thought that all this season, felt like we thought that all season, so with 2 episodes remaining, I've lost a lot of hype. So I will definitely get that hype back for you on Tuesday. No question about that. And maybe I'll get some more of that hype for you back tonight. But here's the thing. These last 2 episodes are going to be very, very good. I have many, many reasons to believe so, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Mr. and Mrs. Sean says, you can't justify filler episodes when Last of Us was only 9 episodes and had no filler. Well, that's like comparing apples and oranges. Last of Us is a already completed storyline in a video game that was a hit video game. The Mandalorian is a new story that has no backing to it. And yeah, but I agree with you. There is no justifying filler in an 8-episode show. But The Last of Us is a completely different behemoth. Swagger Like Us says, after waiting 2 years for The Mandalorian, deserved a steak, not a dollar menu. Yes, so that's a big issue too, is we waited 2 years, over 2 years, for this season, and the fact that it's not blowing minds is a problem. So a lot of things could have ifs, ands, or buts. If this season came out a year and a half ago, would it be okay? There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts about it, but it is a 2.5 year-ish gap that we did have, and it's not living up to the hype. But there's still 2 episodes. Honey Badger says, I hate to be the dark side. I hate to be on the dark side for once, but man, I can't wait 2 years for no Mando and come back with Bo-Katan, Lizzo cameo fever dream. # bring back the Mandalorian. Well, the Mandalorian is back. It will be on next week and the week after, and there will be a season 4. So, yeah. Dr. Robot Nick says, ChatGPT could write a better Mando episode, not season. Yeah, probably. Somebody get on that. Okay, finally got up to the chats. So here's why you're wrong, okay? Let's flip the page and I'll tell you all why you're wrong, okay? Why you're wrong, okay? The Mandalorian has done this many, many times before. Even late in the season like this. You may forget, but season 2, all that, the greatest season of Star Wars history. Live action. I still think Rebels season 4 has it, but that's just me. It's just me. That spectacular second season of A Mandalorian with Luke, with Ahsoka, with Bo-Katan, with Boba Fett, with all that awesome stuff, going to Tython on the Seeing Stone, doing all those fun things. The second to last episode was a filler. It was. Now, it progressed the story. It allowed them to find Moff Gideon's ship. I'm talking about the Bill Burr episode where they infiltrate the Imperial base, and it was just a reason to see Pedro Pascal's face again. Now, people say the performance of Bill Burr was fantastic in that episode, and it was. I love that episode. There's still no denying that when that episode came out, we are sitting here in the same way we feel right now. People lost their ever-loving minds, but everybody and their mothers forgot about that. They absolutely forgot about that when Luke Skywalker came on screen on that finale. They didn't give 2 shits about what happened last week because this week was the finale that everybody wanted. It was Luke freaking Skywalker back in Star Wars. It was wild. It was so good that nobody even cared that a filler episode was the episode before the last. And that could be the same way. We could be in the same exact situation just an episode before. We still have 2 episodes left. In that scenario, and I remember this happening because I had the channel at the time. I wasn't making videos like I am now. I wasn't doing live streams, that's for sure. But I remember there being this buzz, not on my channel because it was tiny, around Twitter and around Instagram of, holy shit, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. That episode was not that good. Bill Burr was cool. You got an ion cannon. What's Boba Fett's the cool blast. But there's only 1 episode left. There's only 1 episode left, and as far as right now, it just looks like Din Djarin is going to go save Grogu from Moff Gideon, and that's it. And it's not going to be that good, and we are going to get our hypes. We got our hopes way too high after seeing Ahsoka, after seeing Bo-Katan, after seeing Boba Fett. And it seems that we are in the same exact situation as we were on that day, the day after that second to last episode of season 2. And I certainly hope, here's the thing. I just told you guys, I've had this channel for 2 years. I've been around for a little while, not a long time at all. I'm very new to this, but I have been around long enough to see the Book of Boba Fett, the Mandalorian season 2, with the channel. Of course, I've seen all of it, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, the Andor show, and just see these bumps and waves every week. It's a weekly show, so if the episode's good, there's a real big high. If the episode's bad, it's a real big dip. Star Wars fans are very emotional people, so we really feel how good or bad that episode was. And here's the thing. I used to go on that roller coaster week in and week out. If this episode sucked, I was going to tell you it sucked, and I was going to rip all over it, tell you Kathleen Kennedy's got to be booted, she's got to be gone, and she is. She is. But we'll get into that in a second. But why would I ride the wave when I have faith in 2 guys, John and Dave, both of which who are co-writing the very next episode? Why would I get so extremely angry with all you guys on Twitter and on Instagram going, I'm done with Star Wars. I'm done with Star Wars. That is the craziest statement I've ever heard in my entire life. Do you think anybody who didn't like The Phantom Menace or didn't like Attack of the Clones didn't go watch Revenge of the Sith in 2005? They said, oh no, I'm done with Star Wars. I'm not going to watch it. I'm done. I'm not watching it anymore. How about, go back even further, how about the people who watched the Star Wars Holiday Special in 80, whenever that came out? Were they done with Star Wars? Were they done with Star Wars? The amount of Star Wars content we've gotten recently has really made us like the people in WALL-E, fat and satisfied. And when there's one filler episode, and I know season 3 has been a lackluster season, but when there's one big filler episode with Lizzo and Jack Black and Christopher Lloyd in a fun little side adventure, and Bo-Katan gets the Darksaber at the end, when that happens, we're done with Star Wars. The world ends. The sky is falling. Somebody call Chicken Little. I probably should have dressed up as Chicken Little for this season. I'm done with Star Wars. Somebody write that down. Write that down on what's the date? What month is it? April 6th. We're done with Star Wars. We are done with Star Wars. Until April 7th. Star Wars Celebration starts tomorrow. It will only take one announcement that fans will latch onto. A Luke, Leia, and Han short series on Disney+. If that gets announced tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, that's it. Everybody forgot that last week of The Mandalorian was a filler episode. That's it. That's it. That's it. Everybody forgot. But let me go to my next point. That was just point number 1, by the way, of why you are wrong. Point number 2. Kathleen Kennedy's gone. I know people are like, oh, she's going to stick around. It's all dependent upon how good 2025's movie is whether or not she gets fired. No, she's gone. The reports have been the reports for months and months and months now. She is gone. And if I'm wrong, I will sit here and tell you I'm wrong. But I have it on good authority. She's gone by the end of this year. I've bet a lightsaber on it. I've bet a freaking giveaway lightsaber on this. I ain't no rich guy sitting here talking about Star Wars on YouTube that I can just throw out some lightsabers that cost hundreds of dollars. I have it on very good authority that she's gone by the end of this year. Possibly by this summer. So the fact that people are like, Kathleen Kennedy is the devil. She is the one who is making The Mandalorian this bad. She is the one who made the Book of Boba Fett this bad. She is the one who is going to make the future Star Wars bad. How? If she is gone. The Mandalorian Season 4 is already written. Jon Favreau has already told us that it's already written and it's going to start filming at the end of this year. You think that's a guy who doesn't want to write this show? You think that's a guy who didn't create this show, wants to see it through to the end? That Kathleen Kennedy's up his ass trying to make this show bad? He doesn't give two flinging flangs. I'm trying to keep it civil here. Family show. I'm trying to keep it civil here. He doesn't give two flinging flangs what Kathleen Kennedy thinks because she is a goner. She's gone. She's gone. And if I'm wrong, so be it. But as of right now, she is a goner. Before I get to point 3, I'm going to catch up on some chat. Dr. Robot Nick says, Bill Burr episode was one of my favorites. That's how you do a cameo. True, it was a very good episode, and that's how you do a cameo. But honestly, I love Jack Black in this episode, but that's just me. Lizzo and Jack Black are even dark brown. Takes me out. What? Oh, Doc Brown, I think he meant. The Bill Burr episode is greater than the Liz, Jack Black, and Christopher Lloyd. Completely different. That episode wasn't a filler compared to this past episode. It was a complete side mission to a side mission. Well, if this wasn't a filler episode, what about those last 5 minutes that we were just talking about? That Bo-Katan ends up with the Darksaber. We've been wondering this for 2.5 years. How is Bo-Katan going to get the Darksaber back? She just did in this episode. So honestly, this episode is far more important than that Bill Burr episode. Dr. Robot Nick says, Captain Bombardier, what a name. Oh yeah, that was Jack Black's character's name, right? I couldn't remember that for the life of me. Captain Bombardier, what a great name. Honey Badger says, I liked the Bill Burr episode because it gave a lot of story progress and was actually entertaining. This one was nowhere near it and didn't progress the story until the last 10 minutes. But again, it did in the last 10 minutes. And by the way, what story progression did it give to any character except for Pedro Pascal, who got to take his mask off again? Oh, maybe nobody. Dr. Robot Nick says, no one even remembers what Lizzo's character name was. I think it was like Duchess something. I don't know. Who cares? Honey Badger says, exactly. All 3 cameos completely took us out of the episode. It didn't. It really didn't. Jack Black actually brought me way further into the episode, made me way more excited to watch the episode. I was not taken out of that at all. I mean, Jack Black's the GOAT. Dr. Robot says, also the knighting, very spacey. Yeah, it was just weird. Lizzo knighting Grogu. Yeah, no thanks. I'm done with Star Wars. He says, I'm not done with Star Wars. Maybe if we got a whole season of this. Exactly. It's one freaking episode. It's one episode. One. It's like we're losing our minds. It's like people forgot that episode 2 existed. Episode 5 was episode 5 was last week with Zeb Aurelius, with all of the awesome pirate versus Mandalorians on Navarro. That awesome stuff happened 7 days ago, ladies and gentlemen. 7 days ago. But nobody remembers that, I guess. The Rise of Skywalker made a lot of my friends done with Star Wars, exactly. And I bet you all of them watched The Mandalorian. Cole says, it's not just because of this one isolated episode. It's time and time again. Disney does not understand their audience. It's true. They don't at all. I'm not going to disagree with you in the slightest. But for people who are like, this is season 3 in a nutshell. This happened in season 1. This happened in season 2. This happened in the Book of Boba Fett. There is, again, like you're saying, Disney is no stranger to the filler episode. And there shouldn't be any filler episodes in an 8-episode show. I'm not disagreeing with you guys. But to think that the world is ending because of this one episode, and it's not an isolated event. Disney has done this over and over and over again, and that's why Kathleen Kennedy won't survive the year. You're completely right. You're completely right. But Mike, perhaps it's too late to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, Star Wars Politics says. Perhaps it is. But if Dave Filoni becomes in charge, the guy who gave us The Bad Batch Season 1 and 2, the guy who gave us The Clone Wars all 7 seasons, the guy who gave us Rebels all 4 seasons, the guy who gave us Tales of the Jedi, the guy who gave us that awesome Season 2 of The Mandalorian that you love so much, and the guy that's going to give us the greatest show of all time in the Ahsoka show, I'll put money on it. If that guy's in charge, it's never too late. If there's one thing we know about Star Wars, it's never too late. The gap between the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, and whatever comes next, it's never too late. There will always be Star Wars fans because those first 6 movies still exist. The first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian still exist. All the good content that everybody loves so much. Think about it. The people who hate Andor, there's people who love Andor. The people who hate the Kenobi show, there's people who love the Kenobi show. Star Wars is Star Wars is Star Wars is Star Wars, and Star Wars is Star Wars is Star Wars is Star Wars. You know? Do you know? Dr. Robot Nick says, getting the Darksaber back on a technicality was very lame. It was, but everybody said, oh, well, wouldn't Bo-Katan get that Darksaber after episode 2 came out? The fan consensus was Bo-Katan deserves that Darksaber because of what happened in the 2nd episode. So everybody was already okay with that. The fact that it was just 4 episodes later that she received the Darksaber was the problem. And I completely agree with it. She should have got the Darksaber in that 2nd episode, and it would have been A-okay. It would have been A-okay, and she would have been wielding the Darksaber this entire time. Star Wars Politics says, what is filler anyway? It's subjective. Exactly. The way I just said people love Andor, people hate Andor, there's a bunch of people out there that absolutely love this episode. Like people in on Instagram and on Twitter and on whatever are giving this episode 8s and 9s out of 10. It's completely subjective. So what I'm saying right now could completely just be bullshit to you guys, and I'm telling you you're wrong. You could be like, no, Mike, you're wrong and you're stupid. And you are right. It's your opinion. It's completely subjective. But what I'm trying to tell you is this is not the end of the world. Swagger Like Us says, I thought The Mandalorian Season 3 was going to finally showcase Mandalore culture, lore, and reunite the clans to retake Mandalore. There still is 2 episodes left, and it still could possibly be the case. And there was a lot of Mandalorian lore in those first 2 episodes, but yes, I thought there would be a lot more of it as well. Honey Badger says, the episode was filler. That's your opinion. 35 minutes of pointless drama and 5 minutes of story progress. And undermining Din's story and messing up Season 2's finale. The Season 2 finale has been messed up since the Book of Boba Fett. So, in total, the season lacks compared to Season 1 and 2. There is no denying that. It lacks big time when you compare it to Season 2. Season 1, not so much. It's probably on pace with Season 1. The only reason Season 1 stands out way more to us is because it is the introduction of these characters. You had Din, and Din was introduced. Grogu was introduced. And that's why Season 1 is held so high. Season 2, when you put it next to Season 1, is leaps and bounds ahead of Season 1. But that's just my opinion. It is your opinion, and you can stick to it. But you're wrong. Sorry. I had to say it. I'm not trying to go against a guy who loves... I'm not trying to go against Mike, but by any means. But this past episode and season in general hurts my heart. And this is supposed to be Din and Grogu's story. This is true, Honey Badger, but you are one of the people who last week loved that episode and thought this season was on a pretty good track. Sure, it wasn't on the same track that Season 2 was on, because that was just God tier. But Season 3 has not been bad. And I don't think any of you guys can say that Season 3 has been bad, or will agree that it isn't bad. But you will say that it is not as good as Season 2. And I'm not disagreeing with that. It's not as good as Season 2, but it's not bad. And there is still 2 episodes left. Okay? So we could, in 2 weeks from now, we could be having a completely different conversation. It could go one of 2 ways. Oh, you guys were completely right. This is straight hot garbage. There's a big problem going on at Lucasfilm. Whatever, blah, 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 blah. Or we could be saying that was the greatest finale, better than Season 2. Holy shit, Thrawn's here. Holy shit, Moff Gideon, blah, blah, blue. Whatever happens in that season. Can't wait for the Ahsoka show. Like, we could be having a completely different conversation in 2 weeks. But as of right now, that episode was a filler, and it pissed a lot of people off. And now I have to sit up here and take all the gunfire. Jeffrey Snow says, yo, Mike, honestly, where is the writing of this going? I don't know, man. It's getting boring and too similar to the Book of Boba Fett. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling the Star Wars vibes at all. Why Bo just got a shiny toy that she used to have? I don't know, man. I don't know. Cole says, do you have high hopes for the Acolyte show? I don't mean to derail the conversation if it does. Cole, that completely derailed the conversation, and I'm extremely upset with you. Just kidding. I'm excited for the Acolyte show. All the things we've heard about the Acolyte show are very exciting to me, at least. It's supposed to take place, the first live action thing, in the High Republic. It's supposed to have a Sith-centered kind of vibe to the show. It's going to have new Jedi. It's going to have new Sith. It's going to have some cool fan favorite actors in there and some other cool stuff. So yeah, I have high hopes for the Acolyte show. And again, that's being announced or getting updates tomorrow or on Saturday maybe, or Sunday maybe, at Star Wars Celebration. So I mean, all this all hatred for Star Wars, I'm done with Star Wars, could be gone in about 24 hours. But we stream today. But yes, Cole, I have very high hopes for the Acolyte show. What about you? Honey Badger says, I agree, not the end of the world, Mike, but I just have a bad feeling about this one. I need some hype. I had a bad feeling about that episode as well. But the only reason I am screaming at you guys, you are wrong, I'm screaming at you guys that this isn't the end of the world. If the fandom wasn't so negative right now, I would be up here saying how much I disliked that episode. Because I didn't. I thought it was a pretty bad episode compared to other episodes. It wasn't like the worst episode ever. But yes, there is definitely just a very, 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 very negative feeling going around the Star Wars fan base. So I wanted to tell you all you were wrong about being so negative and try to bring a more uplifting thought into the Star Wars fandom in a very negative way. So you guys are being so negative, so I'm going to match your negativity by saying positive things about Star Wars in general, but not about this episode because, yes, again, it was filler and it was at a bad time, a very, very bad time. But yes, no, I get it. It's not the end of the world, but it is a bad feeling to have. I get you completely. I lost where I was. Swagger Like Us says, interesting how Tales of the Jedi could articulate more consequential story in 12 to 15 minute episode format than The Mandalorian has done with an hour of content. Very true. Dave Filoni packed a lot into those 12-minute episodes, and it was kind of crazy. Honey Badger says, I did love last week's episode, exactly, but this week's plus Pershing episode, again, I liked that Pershing episode. It's all over the place, but a bad filler with only 2 episodes left scares me. They'll have to rush to the finale, and I can't wait. Did they rush Luke Skywalker? We're almost an hour in, and I haven't even finished the first cup. I've been talking way too much. Honey Badger says 4 months till the Ahsoka show. Exactly. So all the people who say, I'm done with Star Wars, the Ahsoka show starts in 4 months, give or take. We don't know yet when it's going to be announced. And it's going to be the greatest, most mind-blowing crap on the planet, okay? So regardless of how The Mandalorian ends, and maybe it ends in a completely crappy way and we'll shit all over it for a few weeks, but then we'll get hyped for the Ahsoka show and that will blow our minds away. And I'm not even going to doubt that for a second because Dave Filoni's front and center. I still have hope as always, and always will. But to be honest, for the first time, it hurts. I ignore episode 8 and 9 BS, but they're hurting my Mandalorian. You episode 8 and 9 of the sequels. Yes, I get it. A lot of people have very strong opinions about the Mandalorian. And you rightfully so. Like, you should. It is a very, very good show, and it deserves to have these strong opinions. And the fact that season 2 was so good and season 3 has been a drop-off warrants an argument. But there is still 2 episodes left. Cole says, I think the Navarro episode has been the best in season 3. I completely agree. Episode 5 was spectacular. So that's what a lot of people are forgetting is although there were a few filler episodes, there have been a few filler episodes in every freaking season. Season 2 had the Frog Lady, had that Bill Burr episode. Season 1 had, I can't even think as far back as season 1 right now because my mind's racing. But yes, season 3 has had its fair share of filler. And again, still 2 episodes. How many times have I said still 2 episodes? Somebody start counting. Honey Badger says, me too, Cole, because they felt like Mando season 1 and 2. You know what I mean? Exactly. And yes, a Sith-centered show in the High Republic I have very high hopes, and I am ready to be disappointed again. Yes, Cole, exactly. I'm ready to be disappointed as well, because here's the thing. The Acolyte show is not being run by John and Dave, and a lot of people are losing faith in Jon Favreau, but Dave Filoni is not in charge of any of the Acolyte. It's Leslie Headland, and a lot of people have mixed opinions on her. So yeah, I'm ready to be disappointed again. Yes. Honey Badger says, I have a bad feeling in these next 2 episodes. God forbid they are bad. It will divide the fandom once again. And then we will have to wait until July or August for the Ahsoka show if Mando ends up going like this. Yeah. So I completely disagree with you and completely think that you're wrong. I think these next 2 episodes are going to be absolutely fire. They're going to be better than episode 5 was last week. And they are going to get us excited for not only the Ahsoka show, but the Mandalorian season 4, which is going to start filming the end of this year and probably come out mid next year. So not only do I think that the end of this season is going to be fantastic, I think it's going to get us extremely excited for Star Wars in general, but the Mandalorian season 4 as well. Dr. Robot Nick says, I don't care about filler, it just wasn't good. Yeah. I can't argue with you there. It wasn't good. Yeah, no, you're right. Honey Badger says, Book of Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, then I'm nervous for the next Star Wars slate in general. I don't know what you're trying to say there. Okay, so here's the thing. Star Wars Celebration is... All right, no, we're going to go to point 3. No, I said if the next episodes are bad, God forbid, then we will have a big divide in the fan base. And we will have to wait for Ahsoka. Yeah, no, true. There will be a huge divide in the fan base if there is 2 bad episodes next. But these are ifs and buts and candies and nuts. The next 2 episodes are going to be fire. Think about it. Giancarlo Esposito on Mandalore as Moff Gideon with Mandalorians, with Praetorian Guards. The only thing that's going to split the fandom, because it already has, is the sequel trilogy and references to that. I believe we could see a Supreme Leader Snoke clone variant or something along those lines. We could see these Praetorian Guards that are probably protecting some version of Snoke, or some beginning of the First Order, or maybe Gideon looks at the screen and goes, it's time for the First Order, or something stupid like that. That will divide the fandom. I still believe that the last 2 episodes are going to be absolutely fire. People will just complain that they're too connected to the sequels. That's what I think's going to happen. These comments are connected. That's why they did not make sense. No, it's fine. It's fine. I kind of get what you mean. All right. On to number 3 reason why you guys are wrong. Ahsoka will still be the greatest show ever. Okay? So even if, like we talked about this many, many times, even if these last 2 episodes are crap, which they won't be, okay? They won't. Moff Gideon, Mandalore, going back to Mandalore, reclaiming Mandalore, fighting the Empire on Mandalore, Boba Fett, possibly Sabine, setting up the Ahsoka show, maybe Grand Admiral Thrawn, Moff Gideon, did I say him already? Praetorian Guards, possible connections to Snoke, all this fun stuff, possible connections to frickin' Palpatine. Okay? They're going to be fire. But if not... If the candies and nuts, if not, the Ahsoka show is a few short months away, and it's going to be the greatest show of all time. And I will put money on it. I'll put anything on it. Maybe not anything, okay? Okay. Reason number 4, you are wrong. If Din Djarin was really being phased out of his own show, then why would he have the good episodes in the Book of Boba Fett? If the problem with Pedro Pascal off screen, behind the scenes, was so bad, then why would they give him the spotlight in the Book of Boba Fett? And you could say the Book of Boba Fett had no story, but he took over the show and was the fan favorite character. He's getting a 4th season of his own show. This is not the last we're going to be seeing of Din Djarin. He's never going to get phased out of his own show until he dies. Sure, Bo-Katan could rule Mandalore, but that just means that that season 4 of The Mandalorian could just go away from Mandalore and the other Mandalorians. It could go back to Din Djarin either being a bounty hunter or doing another adventure with Grogu. It's still going to be Din Djarin's show, and there's still going to be a lot to happen. Darth Lopez says, I was right again, huh? I was right again, huh? But another bad episode, except the beginning and end credits scene. Well, Darth Lopez, you were wrong because episode 5 was straight fire, so. But you were right, as in that episode was bad, yes. Honey Badger says, theory, next episode will be Bo and Din with her night owls going to Navarro to team up with the Armorer and their clan, and they go to Mandalore and Gideon will be there. They fight and then boom, leads into Ahsoka. Well, yeah, but that's only one episode. I think that will happen next week. That all will happen next week. And maybe it's the case that, like, they get there, they don't know that the Empire is there, they get surprise attacked by the Empire, and they have to go get reinforcements, and that's Boba Fett and Cobb Vanth and Chrysanthemum and Fennec Shand, and that's the finale. Is they fight against Moff Gideon and get the Empire off of their home planet. I don't know. Something along those lines would be hype. It's Acolyte or bust for me. Really, Acolyte? Not even Ahsoka, Darth Lopez? Not even Skeleton Crew? Swagger Like Us says they're setting up Din to ride the Mythosaur as king and Bo wielding the Darksaber as queen, working together and ushering a new age of Mandalore. That would be perfection. And here's why. Everybody's like, oh, she knows about the Mythosaur, Din doesn't. How the frickety frack is Bo-Katan going to tame a Mythosaur? She can't. It's Grogu, and Din Djarin's going to ride it. And yes, I do believe they're still going to rule together. King and queen type thing, you know? Reason number, what are we even on, 5? That you guys are still wrong, is there are 2 episodes left. And you still got Moff Gideon in Mandalorian armor. You have the Praetorian Guards, possible connection to Thrawn, possible connection to Snoke, possible connection to Palpatine, all on Mandalore with a big fight. And Boba Fett. We know he's coming. He's in this season. It's been confirmed. And yet, he still hasn't showed up. So, a lot to look forward to. You know? Honey Badger says, I don't know. I don't think we'll see Gideon until episode 8. No. Next week will be them recruiting and banding together. I don't know. I got a bad feeling about this. A slow episode 7 could rush into a episode 8 with a cliffhanger. You've been on that theory for a while now, for weeks now, that it's going to end in a cliffhanger, and I do think it will end in a cliffhanger, but I definitely think we'll see Moff Gideon in this next episode. Hands down. Reason number 7 million why you guys are wrong. Celebration is tomorrow. And there's going to be great news. You guys were all here for that wicked hype stream we had last Saturday, where we talked about all the announcements that are confirmed to happen at Star Wars Celebration, and then we ruminated about some announcements that could possibly happen. And we got extremely excited. You're talking about the Ahsoka show. You're talking about Skeleton Crew. You're talking about Acolyte. You're talking about Mando Season 4. You're talking about The Bad Batch Season 3. You're talking about Andor Season 2. You're talking about a Luke, Leia, and Han show. And those are just the shows. You're talking about 3 movies that are going to be announced. You're talking about Jedi Survivor, possibly other video games in general, Vision Season 2, and others that we don't even know about. Star Wars Celebration is going to get us extremely excited. So I'm going to have a stream on Saturday, as we are now doing, either at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m., seeing how Saturday goes for me. And we're going to have that stream. And it's going to be a completely different stream than this one. This one has been a more of a downer stream, me trying to just tell you guys you are wrong about this episode. But I think Saturday's stream is going to just be straight hype, and Star Wars is going to be more on the up and up than it is today after that episode, because of all the announcements we are going to get on Friday and Saturday. It does go into Sunday and Monday, but we won't be able to talk about those as well. Since episode 1, I said that season 3 was going to be a building season for The Mandalorian in general. I said that it was going to be about them regrouping. We don't see, and I don't see with 40 to 55 minutes how they could with 2 episodes left. I agree that it is a building season and that season 4 is probably going to be a lot better. Zap says 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right, for that stream on Saturday? Yes, Eastern Standard Time. Yes. Honey Badger says, and come to a complete story conclusion. They won't rush Gideon in 2 episodes to fight all the Mandalorians at the same time. I agree that they won't rush Gideon, and Gideon definitely won't die. Maybe he will die, but I don't think he will die at the end of this season just because he hasn't been in the season at all yet. He has been the main antagonist since season 1, so maybe he could die, and it would kind of just be like a kind of ending storyline thing. But I feel like he would have been in this season more if he was going to die at the end of it. So I think he will survive till season 4. All right, this is a long-ass paragraph, so I'm going to just read it verbatim, okay? Reason number 6 trillion why you guys are wrong. So, not only the worst time to panic and freak out and scream, the sky is falling, but Star Wars is possibly in the best spot that it has been since 2012. Okay? That's what I wrote down. And here's why I wrote that down. Sure, the episode was bad, and it was bad. But like I said a million times, next week, if the episode's straight fire, we're going to be having a completely different conversation. But it is the perfect time for Star Wars right now. Kathleen Kennedy's foot is out the door. Celebration is going to announce a shit ton of projects, like a absolute ton of shits. Sorry, family show. And Ahsoka's going to be the greatest show of all time. It's literally the worst time to say I'm no longer going to watch Star Wars. It's the worst time to say the sky's falling. It's the best time to be a Star Wars fan. Like the best right now. With all the content we're getting, with all the content we're going to be getting announced this weekend, literally in the next 48 hours. It's the best time. It's the best time ever. Star Wars Stu says, when is Bo going to get the goddamn Mythosaur again? Or going to see the goddamn Mythosaur again? Probably in this next episode. Probably the end of this. Yeah, we could see them tame the Mythosaur. They might leave it for the finale. Maybe it like hints towards it at the end of this next episode, but I do think we'll see the Mythosaur in the next episode or the last one. Zap says, imagine Bo killing Moff Gideon straight through the chest. Would you hate that? I imagine Bo wants to kill him still. I think Bo-Katan definitely has more of a right to kill Moff Gideon than Din Djarin, because Moff Gideon destroyed her home, took the Darksaber from her, and literally killed her whole family. Like, a ton more happened between Moff Gideon and Bo-Katan than did Moff Gideon and Din, if that makes sense. Din Djarin already sacrificed Moff Gideon because he already beat him to get Grogu back. He's already done his thing with Moff Gideon. I think Bo-Katan definitely deserves to kill Moff Gideon more than Bo does. And maybe people will see that as, oh, they're elevating Bo. But no, I just think that's her storyline, and it's more important or more relevant than Din wanting to kill her, you know? If that makes sense at all. Does that make sense? I don't know. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Anybody? Maybe? Yes? No? Possibly. Swagger Like Us says, the best Star Wars is I've seen besides Andor, all have one thing in common. Dave Filoni. Ahsoka to me will be the true sequel trilogy. Yeah, Dave Filoni is the pretty much anchor to all things good at Star Wars. Everything good connects back to Dave Filoni. Honey Badger says, to me, it feels like a fight. It feels like a fight will be something that is not expected, and I don't see how you throw Gideon in two episodes and have Mandalorians versus Gideon to conclude the 2 episodes. I feel like the fight will have to take place in season 4. It could be that this season just ends on a gigantic cliffhanger of like Snoke is alive. In like actually on Mandalore right now, and there's about to be a huge ass war between the Empire and Gideon and Snoke versus the Mandalorians, Din, Bo, led with the Darksaber in the Mythosaur, a fight for Mandalore, but Snoke is alive in there and moving around and can use the Force and is badass, like badass Snoke from before he dies in The Last Jedi. That is a possibility, and honestly, that would be an awesome cliffhanger. It would piss off a lot of fans because they hate the sequels and all that stuff, but I think it would be perfect. I would be perfectly okay with that. Swagger says, Mando Season 3 will end in a cliffhanger. It has to. I still believe that there will be a resolve in the end of the season, but I do think like it will end in a holy crap moment and get you excited for Season 4. And the holy crap moment won't get resolved in the Ahsoka show. The Ahsoka show will be a standalone thing off in a different portion of the galaxy. I think it will be something that gets resolved in The Mandalorian Season 4. Star Wars 2 says, Dave Filoni basically is a young George. Exactly. He's the apprentice of the freaking guy who created the whole IP. Zap said, referring to Bo killing Gideon. He says, yeah, I see that. Yeah. Honey Badger says, but I disagree. I have 100% faith in Dave and Ahsoka. Mando is just scaring me right now. It's scaring you right now, but it might not scare you next week. Maybe Snoke gets his scars on his face from the Darksaber. See? Now we're talking about some speculatory hype shit. That would be so cool. Sorry, did that just burst your guys' eardrums? I got too excited. But I got excited, and that's where we want to be, you know? That would be very cool. Now, the rumor is that Luke Skywalker gave him those scars, which would be just as cool, but the Darksaber would be awesome. But I feel like let Snoke breathe a little bit. Don't give him his scars right away. Star Wars 2 says, I wish they didn't ruin Snoke like they did. He was such a good character, wasted potential. Exactly. Snoke was such a good character in The Force Awakens, and even the first half of The Last Jedi. He was awesome. And the way that you just killed him off, turned him into a clone that Palpatine created, it was a waste. It was a waste, but it is still possible that we could get cool Snoke for like 20 years in the Mandoverse, and it would be awesome. It would be so cool. It would be awesome and so cool. All right, my last point that I had for you were wrong because I actually ran out of page is the entire time we have been saying who will rule Mandalore? Boba, Bo, Sabine, but never Din Djarin. I made this point earlier. Never Din Djarin. Nobody said that because we never thought Din was going to rule. He doesn't know how to wield the Darksaber. He didn't want the Darksaber. He didn't want to rule Mandalore. And it is possible that he does reluctantly rule with Bo-Katan. That is a possibility, but I don't think he would ever rule by himself. He's not a ruler. He doesn't want to rule, and he would not do such a thing. Maybe he just settles down with Grogu on Mandalore and helps Bo-Katan here and there, but doesn't actually rule, if that makes sense. That's my last reason on why you guys are wrong. I feel like I made my point. And it only took me an hour and 17 minutes. But Star Wars 2 says, I think Din and Bo are going to unite Mandalore together. Well, yeah, that kind of seems obvious. It seems like Din is the one that is the way. This is the way. They can't take off their helmets. The armor, Paz Vizsla, and all those other Mandalorians. And then Bo-Katan is the leader of the Axe Wolves and Koska Reeves and those Mandalorians. They're going to come together to be a united force, a united Mandalore, and have to fight Gideon together, which is going to be awesome. Awesome. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait. I can't freaking wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. You guys want the good news? You guys want the good news? You guys want the good news? Other than, of course, Star Wars celebrations tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday and Monday. The good news is next week is written by John and Dave. Dave Filoni is writing on the episode, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because that would be embarrassing. But he is writing the next episode, and I only expect hype things. Only expect hype things, because the only real reason that he would be writing this episode was if one of his characters or something close to him was being, you know. Oh, shit. You're right, Star Wars 2. I'm so sorry. Didn't you say you'd wear the clone costume? Ah, I feel bad now. I know where that costume is. Do I actually? I know where that costume is right now. Should I go get it? yeah, no, I have very, very high expectations for, yeah, but then you guys will just be looking at a blank screen and that'll just be boring. Maybe I'll wear it on Saturday. In a completely un-Star Wars related note, has anybody seen or is going to see Super Mario Bros? I'm going to see it tomorrow night. Anybody gone seen Super Mario Bros? It's tanking in the Rotten Tomatoes, but that only makes me want to go see it more because I've heard some great things from friends who've already seen it. It is time. Finally got through the first cup of water. Regardless of how the rest of The Mandalorian plays out, you guys know I will be here every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday for the rest of your lives to give you Star Wars news, to give you Star Wars content, to give you everything. And I know we're going to be hyped next week. I know we're going to get hyped next week. So, don't worry. I'll still be here. And I know you guys will. Because, you know, you guys are the best. Don't forget to hit that subscribe. Don't forget that like button. Go join the Discord in the description below. No matter what, we'll still be here. We'll still be having fun with Star Wars. We'll still try to keep it light, and even when I'm telling you guys that you are wrong, it's for the right reasons, you know? So don't take it the wrong way that I was yelling at you guys that you were wrong all day today, okay? The Honey Badger says, I want to see it. I've heard it's bad, but that's from Rotten Tomatoes and they suck. Yeah, no, I've only heard good things. A few of my friends have gone to see it. They said it's great. I said, don't spoil it for me. They said, okay, this happens. And I'm like, why would you say that? But I'm going to see it tomorrow. So yeah, good cups fall orders, great cups fall orders. We all will, Mike. Honey Badger says, we all will, Mike. And you're the best. Even if Star Wars gets us to butt heads. Hang on, let me try reading that again in English. Honey Badger says, we all will, Mike. You're the best. Well, you're the best. Even if Star Wars gets us to butt heads, we're just passionate Star Wars fans. Exactly. That's the moral of the stream today. We are all just passionate Star Wars fans, and we're really upset after Episode 5 that left us on a cliffhanger of holy crap. Moff Gideon was extracted by Mandalorians. Bo-Katan's going off to find Mandalorians. All this crazy stuff happened in that episode and got us hyped for the next episode, and then this filler episode really bummed us all out. But yes, we're just passionate Star Wars fans who get really excited or angry about what happened. And I know, but it will all be just okay because I said so. Swagger Gus says, another aspect of Ahsoka that I'm excited for is the new rumored of the dark side cool characters. The new Beyond setting Thrawn and the rumors of an epic lightsaber duels, Night Sisters in live action, and Jason Syndulla. Well, that's a lot of stuff, but yes, those are all very exciting things. I don't think we're just going to get like one lightsaber duel. We're going to get multiple lightsaber duels in the Ahsoka show with her white lightsabers versus red lightsabers, Sabine's green lightsaber versus red lightsabers, and who's going to have red lightsabers because there's no Sith around right now? It's going to be these dark side corrupted Jedi from Order 66 that are going to be so cool. Honey Badger says, I never said I hated, I have never hated on Mando. I love The Mandalorian, personally my favorite Star Wars of all time. If it continues to be great, but this season has just hurt the overall story for me, in my opinion. No, yeah, I get that completely. I know you don't hate it. Hate is such a strong word. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Season 3 is not the greatest, but we still got 2 episodes. Still 2 episodes. Star Wars 2 says, I want to see Bo and Ahsoka reunite. That would be cool. And now, I mean, if Dave Filoni's writing the next episode, you never know. You could see Ahsoka Tano. But we'll get hype about that on Tuesday. Honey Badger says, but it does, in fact, have some of the best parts of Star Wars canon. Fights, visuals, and Mando is one of my favorite characters. Even taking Boba Fett's spot in my heart. Oh, yeah, I know, I get what you're saying. It does. It's some of the best Star Wars ever. Even in Season 3 has some of the best Star Wars ever. They see a freaking Mythstar in Episode 2. Episode 5 has an awesome Pirates vs. Mandalorian on Navarro scene. You have Zeb Aurelius in live action for the first time ever. There's still some cool stuff in Season 3. But yeah, Mandalorian as a whole, I mean, talk about bringing characters into live action, exploring storylines, giving us new characters that people love, like Grief Karga, like Din Djarin, like Grogu. Like, come on. It's awesome. Honey Badger says, in Dave We Trust, Dave episode. Oh, I gotta yell it. Hang on. In Dave We Trust, Dave episode. Let's go. Yeah. Get hyped. We'll get hyped on Saturday and on Tuesday, but Saturday will probably be more like covering Star Wars Celebration type stream, and we'll get hyped for The Mandalorian on Tuesday and cover the rest of what happened at Star Wars Celebration there as well. Anything else? Any other Star Wars news other than just this episode? We just talked about this one episode of The Mandalorian for an hour and a half. I was like, the Bad Batch is ending. What am I going to talk about for a whole hour and a half to 2 hours? This better be a lot of Star Wars news. And yeah, this is yes, the hype is back. This is the way. Exactly. It only took you an hour and a half, but we did it. We did it. Screw all the hate. Screw all the haters. Star Wars is the best. Let's do it. Let's do it. Any Star Wars news? Well, we can look at the exact times for the panels for Star Wars Celebration. Whoops, that's not. Star Wars Celebration exact times for movies and TV panels at 2023. Scroll. So, on Friday, which is tomorrow, Lucasfilm Studio Showcase begins at 11 a.m., but that is in London. So it's actually 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 6 a.m. So I will not be awake. Maybe I will, but who knows. So yeah, that'll be the first thing. The making of Season 1 of the Andor show will be later in the day. So if this is 6 a.m. for me, that's 5 hours. So it'll be 5 hours before 3 p.m. for me, which is what, 10? Yeah. Then there'll be more stuff on tomorrow. Those are just like the two big panels that happen tomorrow. So there still will be like interviews and stuff and other announcements, but those are just the two big panels that happen tomorrow. On Saturday, the big panel is at, again, 6 in the morning. It's the Ahsoka panel. And it's going to be absolutely wild, and I can't wait. Dave Filoni will be there, Jon Favreau will be there, and of course, special guests. A High Republic panel is later on in the day on Saturday, which is kind of cool. It's going to introduce phase 3 of the phase of books for the High Republic, which a lot of people are excited for. I'm not caught up on phase 2, actually. I read all of phase 1. It was pretty good. So yeah. Jedi Young Adventures, which will be the most hyped thing all weekend, is also on Saturday. No, that's just going to be a kids show. Maybe it'll be cool. You never know. Clone Wars was supposed to be a kids show. But the last thing on Saturday is a panel for Clone Wars' 15-year anniversary, which is going to be awesome. And that's later on in the day. Ashley Eckstein, you got Bradley D. Baker, Matt Lanter, of course, who's Anakin, James Arnold Taylor, of course. You're going to have them all. And Dave Filoni, of course, again. And Sunday, which is Easter, so it's gonna be a light news day for me because I will be eating a lot of food and chasing around the Easter Bunny. We'll get a look back at Kenobi, which could possibly announce the second season of Kenobi. These are just the panels again. There'll be other announcements throughout the day. Lucasfilm publishing stories from a galaxy far, far away. We don't know what this is about, but it will be like about the novels and stuff. Yeah, that'll be another panel on Sunday. Monday is going to have a Bad Batch panel, which will probably give us some sort of announcement on Bad Batch Season 3. This is like the animation day on Monday. And Vision Season 2 has a panel as well. So we're going to get a ton of announcements throughout those days. Those are just the panels that happen again. So we're going to get a ton of stuff at Star Wars Celebration. So yeah, this is going to be awesome. Honey Badger says, talk about how Tech is alive. Tech's probably alive. Honestly, if he's not alive, well, he's going to be alive, but I think he's going to be like mangled, like Echo was kind of when they found him in Season 3, probably on Mount Tantus as well. Star Wars 2 says, I'm excited for Jedi Survivor. Oh yeah, I've heard it's way more violent. Oh, how about this? Survivor is going to be enormous. It's only on the new consoles, but it's like 150 something gigabytes. It's a huge game. We talked about it on Tuesday. It's going to have 7 playable planets, like all explorable planets. It's going to be way more open world with more side missions. The missions are going to be longer. It's a like this is Fallen Order, this is Survivor. It's enormous. It's going to be a huge game. Honey Badger says, and how he survived because Hemlock found his glasses. Yeah, we talked about tech. Swagger Like Us says, if you truly love something, it never dies. Boom, there you go. Thus, no matter how crappy the sequels were, it can't take us away from how much we love the Star Wars universe that George Lucas created. The Filoniverse, therefore, KOTOR legends. Exactly, yeah. Mike, will any of Celebration be broadcasted, do you know? So yes, there will be a live stream, I think, all weekend, but it is not going to be like the panels. It's going to be just like the interviews and stuff like that. I'll be covering all the news. I'll post it on Twitter. I'll post it on Instagram. I'll post it on the channel. I'll make videos about it on the channel. We're doing the live stream on Saturday. All the news will be covered and it will be announced, but a lot of the panels will probably be for only the people who are there. YouTube or live stream network. I think it's going to be live stream on their YouTube, but I could be wrong. There might be a link on their website. I don't know. Swagger Like Us says, I can see tech coming back, becoming a specimen of experiments, like a lot like Echo, right? Crosshair becoming a prototype template for the Death Trooper. That would be cool. 155 gigabytes. Let's go. Jedi Survivor is going to be sick. It's going to be so sick. It's enormous stuff. So like when John and Dave did the last time. Yes. So like what John and Dave did the last time with their convention. Yeah, I do believe that's what it's going to look like. Yes, definitely. All right. Is there anything else? Let me double check. Well, this is let's see what this is all about. This says the Mandalorian just referenced Luke and Leia's big secret. Scrolling is hard, you know. Luke and Leia's Skywalker family secret. As most Star Wars fans know, that Jedi Enforcer that Christopher Lloyd's Commissioner Hellgate is talking about is Anakin Skywalker. Anakin, who executed Count Dooku in the opening act of Revenge of the Sith, as commanded by the then Chancellor Palpatine. This was one of Anakin's first steps towards the dark side. It's more like one of his last steps. There was a bunch more before that. And by Episode 3's conclusion, he destroys the Jedi Order and embraces his new identity as Darth Vader. The fact that Hellgate still refers to Anakin as a Jedi suggests that neither he nor the rest of the galaxy knows that Anakin became Darth Vader. It also suggests that the galaxy and some separatists were unaware that Dooku was a Sith Lord as well. Now, it's important to remember that The Mandalorian picks up 5 years after the events of the Return of the Jedi, where Luke Skywalker, one of the Mandalorian's greatest cameos, finally redeems his father from his Sith persona. In that same film, Princess Leia Organa also learns that Vader was her biological father. Therefore, by the time of Chapter 22 of The Mandalorian, it seems that Luke and Leia have never revealed just who Anakin Skywalker became. This is eventually in line with the Star Wars novels and how they eventually reveal that the secret contributes to the fall of the New Republic, because Leia is like a big, she might actually be the Chancellor of the Senate, and then they find out that Vader was her dad, and they were like, hold up, wait a minute, and then they boot her out of there. So yeah, that's gonna be cool. So yeah, that proves what Christopher Lloyd's character says, proves that that people didn't know that Anakin turned into Vader. They didn't know that Anakin Skywalker, parent of Luke and Leia, was Vader. But when they do find out, leads to Leia having to leave the New Republic and the fall of the New Republic. Swagger Like Us says, Jedi Fallen Order's storyline / writing was greater than the Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, and Mando Season 3 so far. Kind of was, yeah. I mean, that story is great. The first game was very, very good, so I really hope the second game lives up to it too. Honey Badger says, ouch, but facts. Only parts I liked about Mando Season 3, Book of Boba Fett, and Kenobi. Mando Season 3 is not over yet, folks. And seeing Boba again. The Mythosaur and all of Kenobi and Anakin's scenes Jedi Fallen Order was just a masterpiece. It really was. It was really, really good. Star Wars 2 says suggestions. Suggests. We already knew that they didn't know that who Vader was. Yeah, no, true. They didn't know who Vader was, but they find out that Vader was Leia's dad, and that's why the New Republic falls, and that's why Leia's no longer in the Senate. That is truly what happens. Truly what happens. Yeah, I think that's all we got. Hang on. I will. All right, you guys have to like remind me in the Discord before Saturday night stream to wear the clone trooper costume, because if it fits me, I will wear it. I will wear it. Let's see. Any other news? I got nothing. There's some new Lego sets, but we don't really want to talk about that. I think that's all we got for today's stream, today's show. An hour 40 minutes is quite the long show. Star Wars 2 says, that would be cool if we got to see that in live action. Them finding out that Vader was her dad. That would be so cool, and hopefully that's involved in the Luke, Leia, and Han series that's going to be hopefully announced at Star Wars Celebration. Honey Badger says, that's sad. Leia got the boot for her dumb dad, all because he liked a girl. Well, her mom. But, yeah. Honey Badger says, I'm so hyped. I need the Luke, Leia, and Han show so bad. Oh, it would be so cool. And it would really just make the weekend. It would be the biggest announcement by far, and it would be awesome. But I'm going to get on out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Smash the gosh darn like on this video. Hit subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face will show me the recommended feed of yours. We're going to get on out of here. W stream for you. Star Wars stew. That rhymed. And I didn't even commit a crime. Discord. Link. Description. Go check it out. People who love Star Wars, go check out that Discord. We got people talking I needed some backup yesterday. People were crapping all over the episode. I needed backup. Hopefully the stream resolved some feelings we have for the episode, for Mando in general, Star Wars in general, and got us a little bit more excited. This is the way. All right, I'm getting out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and all that other fun stuff. And may the Force be with you. Always. Always. What a great stream. What a great stream. I think that went well. I think that went well. You guys were all wrong. Zap says celebration stream tomorrow. No, it will be celebration stream on Saturday. Even if we get crazy news tomorrow, I will probably make a video about it, but there won't be a stream till Saturday. Can't wait for Saturday. Yes. This stream definitely helped my negative emotions. Honey Badgers, that was my only goal tonight, was to fix your negative emotions. So you're welcome. And thank you for saying that, because it made my night. Star Wars needs to be hype, and we are here to do it. But you guys are the best. So I'm going to get on out of here. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your lives. And see you guys on Saturday and tomorrow, probably in a video. Good night, everybody.